I'm saying One Direction are brilliant. And I'm not kidding.
Oh.
You know why?
Why?
Because their songs are really good, and I don't think that any of them are going to go solo.
You're dreaming. They're so going solo.
No, I don't think they will. I think they appreciate their chemistry.
Who's your number one?
From watching their movie.
Because I play this with our kids all the time.
There is no number one.
There is a number one.
No.
Yes, there is.
There isn't.
Yes, there is. His name's Liam. Stand up.
You think he's the number one?
No, I think he's one of my favourites.
Well, that's very vague.
That's very vague.
But Zane.
For what they do.
Wait, Zane. All right, for what they do. I'm saying not for what they do, just as them being themselves.
Cosign. Got it.
I'm saying from watching their movie, I felt like, okay, that's gonna be okay. They're
One
gonna
Direction,
last.
We love you. Carry on as per.
Yeah.
Can I play one of my favourite songs on the record?
One Direction or Coldplay?
Yours. This is called...
I'm not messing around, buddy.
I'm not messing around.
Look
at me.
I think you're teasing me.
Look at me. Like, I can straight face it. I love it. I do. I like him. I like pop music. Moving on. Oceans.
But I love Kendrick Lamar as well.
Well, come on. Now let's talk about Good Kid, Mad City. Best rap album of the last 10 years.
It was one of the very great albums of the last 10 years.
You just did it for what he does. You just did
Well,
it.
I'm saying, but then you're then slagging off all the other.
Oh, it's gone the other way now. How interesting. I will stand up and stand
for what
by
he
Kendrick.
does. No, that album's incredible.
Unbelievable. You know why? Because it holds your attention all the way through, like it's a movie. Like,
Yeah.
it has that sense of what Dre brought to the table, NWA brought to the table, which was like they gave you a sense of what was going on outside the recording studio as well as what was going on in.
Have you heard that girl SZA, who's on the same?
Yeah, on TDE. She's great.
She's incredible.
You know, man. We speak, when we do speak, we often sort of talk about other artists or whatever, and you're right across it. You really are a fan of popular music, aren't you? And
I like music.
I get it, but a lot of artists, for instance, Jake Bugg, who's amazing,
right,
grew up listening to one artist, and that was it, right? Don McLean, that was his
right.
entire inspiration. Okay. And
Is that American Pie? Don
yeah,
McLean?
and a lot of the times when you talk to musicians, especially when they're in the throes of making their record, they're not so connected because they need to stay on course.
I also think this comes with age a little bit. I think you have to be very careful when you're coming through who you admit that you like.
I want to talk about Oceans because I love this song, man.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, dude, this song is amazing. And what fascinated me about the production of this song is even though there's electronic pulse to it, it was played live, wasn't it? Will was hitting that on the thing.
Yeah.
Because you can hear you guys falling apart a little bit and coming back together. So it's electronic music with this really human feel to it.
Right.
Which I love about this.
Well, you've been very sweet. It means a lot.
Oh, this song is beautiful. I just want to listen to it for a second. If that's okay.
Okay.
Wait for your call, love. Call never came. Ready to fall.
I'm just taken back to Parachutes when I hear you sing like that over acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough to say that?
I guess so.
I mean, when you think back...
It's not deliberate.
It's just who you are. I mean, but when you think back to an album like Parachutes and what you said at that time, which was probably your most personal record outside of this one, I think, listening to it lyrically.
Yeah.
Are you amazed that you made that record? Can you step aside from that process and listen to it like
well, I
we
don't
can?
listen to it, so...
You don't listen to your own music?
No.
Wow, ever?
Well, because I can't really learn from it.
Oh, wow, I get it now. So this is all part of the process of getting better and better. But you can't enjoy your own records. I think
now this is another big change in my life. It's like now I can enjoy it if it comes on in a bar or wherever. I'm like, I like that. Whereas before I would have to leave or ask them to change it or something.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go and back and listen to
Put it on?
and, polish the discs.
I always think that's one of the big sacrifices. You put all this love into your music, and then you give it to us. And we get to the thrill of listening to it or the heartbreak of listening to it. And most musicians never do.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. But you know, when you make your own tracks, you listen to them millions of times.
You know
and
what?
they're in here all the time.
Can I tell you something that Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age said to me once?
Please.
I said to him, do you listen to your own records? He went, fuck yeah. He goes, we used to listen to Caius records before we went out on stage and played in Caius.
Oh, they're good records.
They're good records. The track listing, we've touched on that, of this, the order of this record, how it came together. Was it written that way with it in mind, or was it after you finished the body of work you sat down and realized that it did say what you wanted to say in the time it took to say it and the direction it needed.
I just wanted it to finish on a message of unconditional love.
Wow, and it does.
And how you can have a better life if you can aspire to that. Not that we ever achieve it entirely, but if you try and learn to love everything that happens to you, everything, as being, I feel like I might be sounding a bit too new age, but I also really mean it.
Remember, you don't care anymore.
I don't care, but I don't want to embarrass you. You can qualify this for what he said, but it comes from I guess it's like a well, like I said, these writers like Rumi, Viktor Frankl, the Buddhist stuff. Is like everything that happens to you is what's supposed to be happening to you. So just relax. That's kind of what we tried to get to at the end of the record.
How did you feel when you finished that song? I mean, do you feel relieved to have gotten something like that out of your system? A song? Any song. Could have been on any album, but a personal song of that nature.
Well, I think these songs are very much my friends. And they have been for a couple of years as they've been coming. So how I feel very grateful for them. Because, like I said before, no one really knows where songs come from.
Yeah.
And for all the technique in the world, sometimes you just don't get any good ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like, wow, I got sent some really nice ones recently.
Probably the only real up-tempo moment on the album is called A Sky Full of Stars.
Yeah.
And this is your collaboration with?
Well, it was produced with Paul, but also with Tim Bergling, who goes under the name of Avicii.
Avicii, right. So let's talk about Avicii for a second, because for a lot of people, he falls under the category of EDM. And yet I've spoken to several people who've been in the studio with him who just say that he's incredible. Not to say that people who make EDM aren't, but you think of EDM as a sort of 100,000 people in a park kind of scenario.
Which is awesome.
Which is great if you're in the park, but, you know, he seems to be going deeper into, and this is a big cosign from you to work with someone like that. What was he like to work with?
Well, what happened was this: the rest of the band were, you know, because we now like share custody of the band, so we do 2 weeks together here, then we have a little rest, then we have 2 weeks together there, which is very healthy for the way we work. It means we really value our time together. So, in my brain, I was like, we don't have track 8. We don't have track 8, like the release, the euphoria, the like. Right. Okay, I understand what I'm supposed to be understanding, which is that life is beautiful in all its colours, even the darker ones. They're here for a reason. I get it, and so I was like, I wish I could get a song where I could express that I get it. Okay, and let's just celebrate the good moments while they're happening and be grateful for everything. And then I was at the piano, and this song just like fell out. Just came right through, and the rest of the band weren't here, so a bit naughtily I called Tim
straight up
and said, is there any way you could just come and help me demo this?
This is against custody rules here.
Well, this did cause a rumble for a day or so.
Let me guess, Will not happy?
No, everyone was happy, but I felt like, was I unfaithful?
With Avicii.
Did
I cheat on Coldplay with... That's a headline right there. Ignore all the rest of it. Chris Martin cheats on band with Avicii. That's a headline.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of false headlines recently, but this would be a real one. So you can write that if you like. I'll give you a quote. I did.
Good. So I'm here to talk about Chris Martin's separation from Coldplay, trial separation as he continues to have some torrid affair with Avicii.
It would be nice to have a true story.
Is he a gentle lover?
What?
Is he a gentle lover?
Musically, Tim is very,
Thanks
very
for qualifying music.
Sweet guy.
Musically?
He's very lovely and very talented, and he just made these great piano sounds and synth sounds, and that top note he does with, and Johnny's in there as well. So, because we had the idea of, wouldn't it be cool if Johnny was doing one of those EDM type sounds? So it's got a bit of emotion in it.
Yeah.
But this took ages to finish this song.
Yeah.
Ages.
Why?
because we're trying to
Blend the two.
blend
things.
two worlds.
You know what's funny though is when you listen to the piano. Let me just reload this for a second. When you listen to the piano, this is a very Coldplay piano line because you
Yeah.
wrote it. It naturally comes out of you. It's what you do. It's your phrasing. It's the way you play your rhythm. I'm thinking, God, this is straight up modern day big room house music.
Right.
And it made me think actually, and you're gonna say, but you guys kind of are part of the foundation of EDM in a weird way when you think about some of the bigger songs you've had and the tempo they are,
Right.
125 beats per minute, that kind of four on the floor nature.
Well, I know that like the riff from Clocks does sounds good in EDM and
Yeah.
Viva. It's because I love that kind of music.
Yeah.
I love this quiet, heartbreaky songs, but I love the euphoria, the togetherness. It's like life is so scary. There's planes going missing. There's people getting shot. There's wars going on. It's like anytime you can get thousands of people in a field jumping up and down, that is the most beautiful feeling.
Yes.
Or when the Stones came on at Glastonbury,
Yeah.
and I was there. I was with Apple and Moses, my kids, and were you there?
No.
And not only the main field, but the side fields were packed. And I was like, man, this is
euphoric.
awesome.
This is it. I love it, man. I think this is a great record. I think it's a great collaboration because I think that there's enough.
He produced it. It's a move for him into producing other people's things.
It's a good move.
And Paul did some as well. I got to give credit where credit is due.
When was the last time you talked about Glastonbury and the Rolling Stones? So obviously that was one of the times. But do you get a chance to kind of go out and seek that euphoria? And
Yeah.
Do you go clubbing? Do you go to festivals? Do you try and put yourself in that position?
Absolutely. The last, we went to see Kanye the other day.
Yeah.
Well, that was a few months ago, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of people.
Yeah.
I went to see Justin Bieber.
Good show.
Yeah.
Went with the
Now
kids?
that's someone who needs a fill. It's like that guy is very talented. Or he needs a Will or a Johnny. It's like, it's very.
Yeah.
It's a. Other people go through much crazier stuff in the world. Let's qualify it. But a young guy like that needs nice people around him to just because there's a lot coming at him. There's a lot, and especially now the noise that people throw back at you is very loud, and so I feel for him because he takes a lot of shit. Not to condone all but he's a teenager. He's a teenager.
Yeah.
I was getting booed off my school stage at that age, or just below that age, literally.
And
Thank goodness it wasn't being filmed for YouTube because
Yeah, but that's true because nowadays it would have been. Someone would have had a phone up.
Oh my God.
And you'd be sitting at home going, well, that's it. My career is over on my first performance at school because the audience that I know, that are the only people I can relate to, think I suck.
I was in a band when I was 16, which Phil was in as well, actually.
What were they called?
I can't say because I realise in retrospect it's quite a racist term.
Okay, fine, let's
We were
move on.
called the Rockin' Honkies.
Right.
I didn't come up with the band name.
Right.
And I didn't know what honky meant.
Right.
So I was like, sure, I'll be the piano player. I was a piano player.
Well, it's a honky-tonk thing.
So I was a piano player. It was a rhythm and blues band at school. And
It sounds horrendous.
But what it was very educational because it was this guy Rob in the year above us was switching us on to Otis Redding and James Brown, all this amazing soul music. Anyway, I was a piano player, and one time he said, "You've got to do a piano solo in Mustang Sally."
Right.
And I was like, "Sure, I'll try that." And I had pressed the wrong button on the keyboard. So when you press the keyboard and have arpeggio,
Yeah.
it goes with
Yeah.
So I was doing this solo, but I didn't know I had the arpeggio button on, so it sounded like Van Halen or something. and at the same time, I was dressed like a cowboy. So,
Oh my God.
So,
I'm on YouTube.
it's like,
I wish I
now,
could.
poor Justin Bieber, that would be all over the internet. But with me, luckily, it was just a rumour around school for a couple of days. Like, what a knob.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's good material. We had talked before, we came in here and we said, well, let's talk about this during the interview. So I want to bring it back up.
Okay.
Which was the balance between doing what you love to do and what you're dedicated to doing in your life.
Right.
Which has allowed you the freedom to be able to raise your family and provide.
Right.
Be happy.
Yeah.
Or at least strive for happiness through your art. But at what point sometimes can it start to have a negative impact on the time that you get to spend with your family, or get the balance right? Is it hard when you are a band as successful as you are, but obviously your family is more important to you than anything else?
I don't think the word hard is the right one, because it's a great joy and it's a great blessing and a privilege. I think that the thing you talked about of like being on stage with 60,000 people is a very specific kind of energy, and I think that it's sometimes, well, I think for a long time I didn't have the right help in how to reconcile those two people within me, because that they're both me, and this is why a lot of frontmen have problems in their personal life. It's because there's this thing that you do that's only about 20 other people do, which is amazing, but which does something to your brain which is odd. You know,
On an ego level?
on an ego level, yeah, but you're also responsible for, you know, lots of people have paid money, they've come from work, they've come from school, they've come from,
Yeah.
you know, like, okay, well, we've got to be good here because, you know, people are expecting a show, and so there's a responsibility, and then there's a euphoria, then there's a sort of fear when something's going wrong, and you're, you know, if you're on stage in a stadium, for example, and something breaks, it's like that's a weird energy that's going through your body, because you've got to try and like handle it. And these are very different skill sets to just writing a song. And so if you're blessed enough to be doing that, and then coming in and out of real life that everyone else is going through, you have to work very hard not to be a real dick, you know, because you just naturally are a bit of a diva in certain ways. Not that, and in certain ways you need to be, because you need to make sure your voice works, and your, you know, because otherwise people will be like, I just paid this much money and spent 5 hours driving and 6 hours waiting and
you're too
standing behind this.
You're too scared to demand the best. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he's clearly not into it.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. But before I met these kind of teachers that I've been blessed enough to find, and started reading some of this work, I was just a bit lost with, you know, which is the real me. But now I understand that they both are. But you have to just I'm trying to learn how to switch between them in a more gentle way. It's because it means so much to me, but also because when they come in the studio, they bring such a funny energy, and they're so used to it that I'm like, oh, it just makes me laugh. You know what? This is how it became popular, so this is how we'll play it for the most part.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable about that. But there's countless times when I've just been like, is this normal? You know?